Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at the Scavenger Bot. That's the guy you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first half of the video. And in the second half of the video, we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment, and everything else. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. This time around, we are actually going to look at something I haven't done in quite a while, and that is come up with a build that's pretty much entirely made around an idea, rather than, oftentimes I either get ideas or requests from you guys, or sometimes I want to use a specific weapon or something. And this time around I wanted to explore something that I wanted to do ever since, by the way, I'm just checking my buffs here, ever since, where is it? Blight Soup. There it is. Ever since legendary perks became a thing. Because, as you can probably tell, one of the key things that you will encounter every now and then whenever the discussion about builds in Fallout 76 comes up is the idea that one typical trap people stumble into very quickly is that you rely too much on carry weight perks. It's a super easy trap to fall into. You start up the game, you spend a lot of time over encumbered, and you quickly start to see that you find yourself taking Bandolier or something, then you may throw on through Hiker, and things start to add up very quickly. And that the main problem with this is that it's what we call convenience perks. So every single one of these perks you take means it's 2 to 3 perk points left that you can't really spend otherwise. You can't spend for offense. And typically going for a higher offense is the way to go in Fallout 76 if you want to be an efficient part of an event or just for soloing. So speaking of soloing, I should probably create a team here. I'm going for exploration just for a little bit extra endurance. Doesn't really matter anyways here. It's just because I do have herd mentality, so we get a little bit of a bonus there. So yeah, and the premise was, okay, now that we do have the ability to actually give us way more perk points overall to distribute, is it a viable idea, or can it actually be done to take every single carry weight perk in the game? And yeah, that's the idea. I wanted to make this character based around. And to be honest, I mean, it was pretty obvious that of course you can do this. I mean, it wasn't up to debate if you can make a character like that. So the question really here was, is it going to be a fun gameplay? And these freezer guys, they can be a pain in the ass. So yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate here. I really stumbled into them kind of blindly. Should have probably looked a bit ahead here, but as always, I mean, I'm kind of clumsy playing the game whenever I'm recording, just because, yeah, speaking and playing simultaneously can be a little bit of trouble for me. But we managed to do fine here, and yeah. So the idea was not, can it be done? It was rather, can it be fun? And I gotta say, I have a lot of fun with it, and it really is, it's interesting to play the game this way. Like, I can loosely remember, obviously, when I started playing the game, I was quickly falling into the same trap as a lot of other persons, and I have played this game looting pretty much everything. Now, the big aspect of this build here, looting everything, is something I won't really show off in the game. In the gameplay that I'm showing here. Now, I was hesitating because I was thinking about, doing this run and looting pretty much every single thing inside, just to showcase how ridiculously much you can carry with this build, because I'm really confident I could have just picked up every single bit of loot on the way and not be over encumbered here. This is just something you will have to trust me, but I mean, I will go over the inventory quickly and you will see that with all the spare carry weight we do have, it's ridiculous. You can easily clear out the entirety of West Tech, just loot every single thing, including weapons and everything, and not even be half your carry weight. It's a ton of fun, and actually it's one of these ideas that's not only fun, but it can actually have a little bit of a benefit to it. So, for example, let's say you are level 200 or something, you have a few perk points left that you can spend for things like carry weight perks. chances are you do have a lot of them anyways. And you really want to step your game up and start collecting a lot of stuff. Maybe you have a free trial for Fallout First and you want to fill your scrap box in the week that you're playing, or maybe you want to get access to all the plants and everything. And this is where this build could really shine, in my opinion, because playing this for a week and getting into the habit of just looting everything, we also do have Master Infiltrator maxed out. And by the way, I'm not going to loot everything because, as I said, it would be boring for you to watch, but just going on an enemy and loot everything in the vicinity, you will constantly get a lot of ammo back, and this guy here really starts to screw over just because he's not going to land, which always is a pain. I mean, now he's going to do, and with our Executioner's weapon, we can make quick work of him. Let's just loot him because, as I said, this is the big part of the build. And yeah, you can really start to accumulate a lot of camping plans for your camp. You can start to accumulate a lot of resources, scrapping down all of the weapons you can take with you. I mean, you also can do all of this without this build, just by, you know, being over encumbered for a while, and you're always going to be in the vicinity of some kind of stash box. But this really is a lot of fun. You can loot everything, you get into every single building, you can automatically unlock every single container. We also do have Scrounger and Farmer integrated into this build, because this is something, the moment I started to accumulate all the carry weight perks, I also felt like it would be appropriate to also take as much scavenging perks as I could. As I said, Farmer, Woodchucker, I think Woodchucker actually I ended up not using, but yeah, Scrounger, Farmer, Green Thumb, you get the point here. So you can really start to access a ton of loot. And now to the big drawback here, weapon of choice. Obviously, the big problem here is that you really have to think carefully about, because taking as much carry weight perks as you can is not a complicated matter, you know. But the problem you really start to see is you don't end up having a lot of perk points for your offense. And what became apparent really quickly to me was the fact that I kind of had to go with either a gunslinger or a guerrilla build. Ended up with a guerrilla build, which you can probably tell already by the fact that we are using an automatic laser pistol here, which starts to fall flat a little bit over range here, but we are kind of lucky, I think. On this occasion we don't have an Assaultron, so I mean something's around. Oh yeah, it's the Mr. Gutsy downstairs, probably. There it is. So yeah, the problem was, obviously, now this shouldn't be a shocker to anyone, strength was kind of not an option for any weapon. So talking about shotgunners, melee or heavy gunners, those were off the table. Like, you really need to invest a lot into strength as much as you can, and this stat is filled with carry weight perks. So no way I was going to press a build into that on top of all the carry weight perks. And yeah, once you have that out of the table, what's left there? I mean, you can go for an explosives build in intelligence, which just is demo expert and some points in perception. So that was one idea. But other than that, yeah, rifleman and automatic rifleman and commando was also off the table, just because you have to invest a whole lot into a stat that otherwise you wouldn't use too much. So ultimately what I ended up was this guerrilla here. And when it comes to guerrilla, you actually do have great DPS as long as you are using VATS, in my opinion. It's kind of hard to reliably play guerrilla outside of VATS. Can be done, but not if you're already suffering from the fact that you have to do a lot of decisions or make a lot of decisions based around carry weight. So yeah, I ended up with this particular weapon here. Now the first idea I had was to go with the gunslinger using the plasma flamer, just because that flamer pistol, that's such a high DPS and good weapon. You don't need to invest into VATS. So it was a really low cost, perk cost build I had in mind, but I decided to go with the ultrasight laser rifle or laser pistol, the automatic ultrasight laser pistol, just because it recently got a buff and I wanted to showcase it anyways. It now has way more base damage than it had before. It still has a little less base damage than the laser rifle, I think, but it does have a higher fire rate to begin with. So overall, I think the DPS of this weapon should outperform the standard laser rifle, I mean compared to this one, so as an automatic laser pistol. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. It actually has a lot of power behind it. Now it's not the best weapon in the world, obviously that stealth isn't really an option with a laser pistol like this, but yeah, for short high DPS burst it actually works really well. Now I fiddled around a lot with different combinations, what I wanted to go for. For a while I played with 2-shot as my main legendary effect, and it was performing pretty good, but yeah, it's not too accurate, and I could definitely see myself building a character around it, but yet again, I wanted to have something that just works easily without a lot of investment. And what I ended up with here is this here weapon. Executioners, VATS crits doing more damage, less VATS cost, ultrasight laser pistol modified with automatic aligned pistol barrel, and just the tiniest amount of VATS investment. We really just talk basically concentrated fire and critical savvy. That's all we have. It was probably the most painful thing, was to not use better criticals on a VATS build that uses criticals all the time. But I ended up not having a big problem with it, and one thing I wanted to say is that some of you may have noticed already, I typically in videos don't use buffs like Blight Soup or something a lot, just because you pretty much always have these options. And I want to showcase my builds on standard performance, so you can think for yourself if you're someone who uses Psychotats or Blight Buff or Blight Soup or something like that. It's up to you. But on this occasion, I think it's actually one of the big strengths of this build, just because you end up looting everything while playing. You easily can be stacked with stuff like Blight Soup and all these buffs. So in addition to that, we do have Company Tea here. Angry Turtle made a really good video about it recently. It's a really good 8 item. I certainly did not have it on the radar. It's actually super efficient. Like lasts for an hour, gives you with Herbivore, which I do have, 20 action points per second. So it in and of itself is a lot of AP refresh. So we could get away with actually investing relatively little into AP refresh. And yeah, back to the whole topic of the build. I mean, that's everything I wanted to say about the build. You pretty much see it. Obviously, you could get more out of it just by investing more into it, but it's good enough so we can focus on all the carry weight stuff. And speaking about it, one big decision I had to make is, did I want to make a build in power armor, specifically to get the excavator bonus, or do I want to make one outside of power armor? And for the simple reason that outside of power armor you not only have access to a backpack, but this backpack can be modified and basically spare you one carry weight perk. I made the decision to go outside of power armor. What I mean by this is you can either use the Grocer's or the Chemist backpack modification, and this lets you not use Traveling Pharmacy or through Hiker. And I decided to go with Traveling Pharmacy just because, yeah, you're physically not possible to equip every single carry weight perk within strength, just because you only have 15 points to distribute. And this extends to some stuff like Bare Arms and Martial Artist. So ultimately, what I ended up doing was the only things I haven't used, the only carryway perks I have not used as perks are Traveling Pharmacy, which I ended up basically doing with the Chemist's modification for the backpack, and the weapon weight reduction perks by using a full set of Botsmith armor that has the weapon weight reduction legendary perk here. Pretty hard video for me for some reason. Actually, a lot of information. I hope you guys are not getting bored. But yeah, so this was kind of the little fiddly bit I had to work with in order to make this all work. So yeah, that was it in terms of gameplay. I hope you enjoyed it so far. I actually think if you just see the footage, to be honest, it doesn't feel like you're playing a character that's centered completely around carry weight. It actually can hold its own weight. It's doing pretty well, I would say. And yeah, with that being said, let's move over and take a look at starting off with our mutations. In terms of mutations, a few compromises here. We do have class freak though, so obviously I would have loved to have less debuffs to strength, just because every single bit of strength ends up being a straight up benefit to your carry weight. But ultimately, carry weight, the key to it is reducing the weight of stuff you pick up by percentage. That's going to be more important than the amount of weight you can take here. So, for example, I could have taken a high capacity backpack modification, but ultimately I think if you really start to power loot, the benefit of having 90% reduced weight on camps is outweighing the extra carry weight you get, just so you get behind my idea. And yeah, so we do have Bird Bones and Eagle Eyes. I just really felt like I needed those for my Vets build here, and yeah, therefore they are here. Extra agility, extra perception, extra crit damage, all really nice. Herbivore, I really felt like the benefits of Company Tea and the benefits of Blight Soup gave me a good edge, and I decided for those two because they are actually easy to stack. They both stay for, like, Blight Soup stays active for half an hour, Company Tea for an hour, so it's really not something you have to pop every 3 minutes, and therefore you can easily be on this buff all of the time without having to worry of running out of resources or anything. It's not a really intense on farming them. So yeah, that's why I decided to go with them. 100% extra crit damage with with Herbivore, and AP regen, as I said, 20 per second or something like that. So yeah, really good. Then we do have Herd Mentality. Now this just helps me to offset my debuffs a little bit and gives me extra strength just by virtue of being on a team. So it was just a decision I made just because I saw no reason not to use it. It's not exactly a character built around solo play. You can actually do it, but you don't get crazy benefits from being solo or in a team either way. But yeah, I decided to play on the team, and therefore Herd Mentality is here. Then you do have Marsupial just for extra carry weight and jump height. Obviously the carry weight is nice here. Scaly Skin, this is something I decided because I didn't really feel, I mean I didn't have the points to really invest into defense a lot, so we are a relatively flimsy character. Now just by virtue yet again of carrying around a whole lot of stuff, you will never run out of Stimpaks or anything, so I didn't really feel like I had to invest a whole lot into defense here, just because keeping yourself alive with Stimpaks is not a big burden to carry with this build. But yet again, having a little bit more defense and damage and energy resistance was a nice thing to have, since I decided to go with Botsmith armor, and it's not the best armor in the world. It was a purely visual choice, so yeah, keep that in mind. And minus 12 AP with Class Freak isn't the world. It's not even a single shot, I think, from our weapons, so ultimately doesn't really end up making a big difference. And lastly, we do have Speed Demon. Obviously the movement speed is nice to have, but really the reload speed is kind of important here for the simple reason that, yeah, you don't have a high magazine size with the automatic laser pistol. It's 21. It's not really low, but you find yourself reloading a lot, and there's not a lot you can do. There's no modifications that make you reload faster on an automatic weapon. I think the hair trigger one would have done something, but I'm not quite sure if that works with automatic or not. So anyways, I think I don't have to sell you the benefits of faster reload. Then we take a look at our weapon, and just by looting once or twice during the video, we attained so many weapons. I mean, we can quickly do it with those super mutants, and you will see that our carry weight goes from 168 to, let's find a good central body, take everything, and we're up to 176, and we just, yeah, we're packed with stuff. Keep in mind, we also have grenades, we have 8 items, we have ammo, we probably have some mini nukes and stuff. So yeah, you see, you can loot a whole lot with this build. It's actually, I haven't been over encumbered once since I started playing with this build, and I have looted a ton. So I really looted complete areas, and yeah, it wasn't a problem whatsoever. So that's nice to have. Starting showing off our equipment here, which I actually wanted to do. This is it, our Executioner's Prime Automatic Ultrasight Laser Pistol, Executioner's VATS Crit less VATS cost, Prime Capacitor for maximum damage, and also pretty good ammo efficiency in my opinion when it comes to energy weapons. So yeah, Prime Fusion Cells or Ultrasight Fusion Cells, easy to craft in bulge. Like with Ammo Factory, and which we do have maxed out all of the time as far as I remember, and Ammo Smith, we get like 600 a pop or something, so you really can craft a whole lot. And just if you're interested, we ran through like 1,500 shots during the video, so you do run through quite a lot, but as I said, you're looting all of the time, you will be able to craft a lot, sell a lot, so yeah. Consumption and efficiency is not the biggest thing here. It's also the reason why you will see I have not invested anything into condition of the weapon. True grip, reflex sight, beam focuser. Now in the thumbnail you will probably see my beam splitter modification, which was something I ran with to begin with, and in combination with Four Leaf Clover, which worked well, but ultimately I decided to go this way, and I don't feel like I need to redo the whole thumbnail for that. So yeah, not a whole lot to say here. You saw it in action, you probably know what's going on. And when it comes to our armor set here, we do have a full set of weapon weight reduction Botsmith armor. 2 pieces have a P refresh, and that's basically it. The rest isn't interesting here, nothing too crazy. I didn't feel like re-rolling them until I got something like Overeater's weapon weight reduction. The interesting bit and the necessary one for this build here was weapon weight reduction, which to this day I feel like was the right choice, because adding up all the weapon weight reduction perks will be like 9 or 12, something like that, perk points, which you can spare with one single legendary effect, whereas if you were to take food drink 8 reduction, it's like 6 points you spare. You get the point. Ammo weight reduction was another one I was thinking about, just because it includes a lot of explosives and so on, but ultimately, yeah, I felt like it was the better decision to go with perks that way. And not to say, not even speaking about the fact that rifles, and so all the automatic weapons and so automatic rifles and sniper rifles and such have no reduction perks. So weapon weight reduction was the way to go here. Everything else we could figure out. Going over to our, and obviously, by the way, something I haven't mentioned, deep pocketed and everything. Then we do have our backpack here, as I said, chemist modification. I mean, I do have this pretty much all the time, just because it is the most beneficial in my opinion, but on this occasion it actually was the necessary decision here, because through hiker we had room for it, but we simply didn't have enough room in strength, so we needed to use the chemist's mod here. And yeah, Raiderish eyebot helmet, I mean, it doesn't do anything, it just works with the aesthetic. And as a Under Armour, I used shielded lining on the Secret Service Under Armour. There is a Raiderish version, which now that I think about it would have been the better decision just in terms of visuals here. But yeah, what I was looking for was extra strength for extra carry weight. Extra endurance is obviously nice, a bit more hit points, and extra perception also doesn't hurt. So yeah, we carry a lot of stuff in 8 here, just of what I accumulated over time just by picking it up here and there. Also high amounts of 8 items, as you can see here. So yeah, you really can loot a whole lot, and keep in mind we're not even halfway done with our carry weight. So yeah, that leaves us with our perks here, and to no one's surprise, as I said it like 5 times in the video, strength is maxed out here. What we do have is Ordnance Express, Pack Rat, Bandolier, Sturdy Frame, and Strong Back. Now I'm not going to go over the benefits of every single one of those, because obviously if you want to do something like this, you will find yourself stuff that you don't find necessary. For example, Sturdy Frame, if you don't want to pick up every single armor piece or something, leave it out. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to tell you this. I just wanted to see if I can fit every single thing here, and also stuff like strong back. So yeah, pretty straightforward here. As I said, strength was the one I had to compromise a little bit, because on top of that we could have used stuff like bare arms, martial artist, traveling pharmacy. So this was the interesting stat to manage. After that, everything else became pretty simple, because you could just go over the stats and pick out every single perk that does increase your carry weight or reduce the amount of weight of stuff. So yeah, it wasn't too crazy. Then we go over to perception. I had tank killer just because it benefits our Tesla, not sorry, our automatic laser rifle, pistol, sorry. Concentrated fire, to be honest, rank 1 would have probably been enough. Doesn't make a whole lot of a change to go over to rank 3 here, but just in case, I felt like, yeah, I could use it. And this is what I meant by I quickly decided that if I go and make my character basically a loot goblin, I might as well use all of the perks that feel like they fit this kind of character. And I used Green Thumb here just so harvesting flora is twice as beneficial. Fortune Finder. So yeah, whenever you are in the vicinity of a cap stash, a magazine, or a bubblehead, you will get a little directional notice. It's like it's a sound effect. And to be completely honest with you guys, I mean, I like the idea of these, but I think I'm stupid. Like, I never heard it, and it's not the first time I used them in a build. Just because, as I said, I like the idea, but probably I'm just deaf to this exact sound piece. But I can't recall a single time where I heard one of these perks proc and felt like, oh, I should look around here. Hasn't happened, and I have found bobbleheads or magazines while using these perks, but I just always, after the thoughts, think like, shouldn't I have heard something? But anyways, that's just some anecdotal knowledge here. Then we go over to endurance, and this was one of the only points where I really felt like I made a little bit of a compromise by using all these carry weight perks, because being outside of power armor, not having the greatest armor set in the world, and not having stealth as a benefit, 6 endurance is a little bit low. Like, I would have loved to be a little more tanky and have something like Ironclad or Life Giver here on top of that, just to be a little less flimsy. But as I said, the fact that you can constantly loot everything, you have a higher chance of getting extra medific aids and chem items from looting containers. You can just pump stimpaks all of the time, and you will still end up accumulating more stimpaks than you use just by making a daily ops here and there. You can really go nuts. It doesn't matter too much. It's not my favorite playstyle, but it's possible completely. We do a fireproof here because it's just point for point, in my opinion, the most useful defensive perk in endurance, and then we do have adamantium skeleton. And as the old story goes, you can take whatever you like here. There's a lot of people who say they don't really use adamantium skeleton here, and go nuts, go for ghoulish. Maybe try to find one more point to invest into endurance. You can definitely do this. I have pumped strength up to 20 with passive, with using legendary strength, so you can just take one of those strength points, put it into endurance, and use yourself life giver or something. I'm sure you figure it out. Just try to build your whole character around everything else, and by the end you can see how much perk points you have left for endurance and start to fill it up. Similar to charisma, I had enough points to use Tenderizer here, but it certainly isn't the most important pick. However, not having adrenaline and certainly not being super invested into our offense, Tenderizer definitely shouldn't be a bad choice. Then we go over to intelligence, and here is yet again one of these perk points that usually I very rarely use in a build, unless I have to fill up one perk point or something, which is Scrapper, and it felt perfectly fitting for this character here, just because, yeah, as I said, you can just loot everything, and after you're done with Westec or something, the nearest workbench, scrap down all of the weapons. Now, you would have all of the plans unlocked and so on for the regular weapons that you typically find on enemies, so that's not the big selling point here. But you probably know that stuff like steel, plastic, cork, they can be in short demand if you're just day-to-day playing. And if you do play this character for a week and just do it like that, just loot everything and scrap down your weapons, you will quickly see that you will be swimming in 10,000s of steel. So yeah, scrapper nice to have, for especially for one perk point. Also, to this day, in my opinion, the best way to get plastic, scrapping laser rifles from super mutants. Then we do have batteries included, pretty straightforward. One goes in line with Ordnance Express and Bandolier, just a carry weight reduction perk and portable power. Now this is probably one of those that I would take the last usually, just because I would start to accumulate power armor chassis and try to put on stuff on power armor chassis, but that can quickly become a coordination problem, so yeah. Portable power also here. And then we do have agility, which was pretty much the most uninteresting of all of the perk stats, just because, yeah, there was one thing I wanted here, which was through hiker, and other than that I want to go for guerrilla. So the last thing I had to decide was the last 3 perk points that I had left. Do I want them to go into adrenaline to help me get a little extra damage, or do I want to get them into Action Boy? And the fact that I don't had the points to invest into Grim Reaper Sprint meant I really wanted to have Action Boy here. AP refresh is a kind of important thing for this character, and in my case I tackle it by combining Action Boy, Company T, and 2 pieces of AP refresh armor. Now the whole world will change if you just have the patience to go for a full set of armor with weapon weight reduction and AP refresh. At that point you can ditch Action Boy with ease, probably don't even have to use Company T and still be fine, and then you can use something like maybe even how's it called, White Knight here, or Adrenaline. But on this occasion, yeah, this is the combination I ended up with, and yeah, I didn't regret it. And that leaves us with luck here. I do have Scrounger, I do have Farmer. Now these felt super fitting, and other than that I have a few more weird choices. Now Class Freak and Starch Jeans, those shouldn't be too weird. So yeah, I wanted to keep our mutations, not get any new ones, and on this occasion I had quite a few conflicting mutations, so I wanted to have Class Freak here basically to diminish the debuffs to endurance and strength. So yeah, that's basically it. We ended up with 1 perk point at the end, and that's where Curator came into play. It's something I often like to use just because it actually is a pretty good benefit for what it is. And looting everything, having Perceptibobble, having pen and pictographist, you will find yourself starting to accumulate quite a few magazines and bobbleheads. And with this build, it feels like the right one to just fiddle around with these time consumables. And there actually are quite a few magazines and bobbleheads that not even bobbleheads. I don't know what I'm talking about. But with magazines, there's quite a few that have interesting carry weight stuff, like reduced melee weapon damage or something like that. You get the point. So you can really fiddle around with them and have fun, or give yourself extra damage in certain departments. So yeah, that's why I ended up using Curator here. And lastly, critical savvy. So this is basically in combination with concentrated fire, the only thing that you could argue to be a vet-centric perk. And as I said, not having Grim Reaper Spin and especially not having better criticals, I mean, I pretty early on knew that I had to do it this way, but it still hurt. On the other side, the moment I started playing, it didn't really matter too much. And that leaves us with our legendary perks, which are pretty straightforward here. We do have 3 of them that give us access to extra perk points. So we do have legendary agility, intelligence, and luck. Those just give us access to more perk points, as I said. We do have legendary strength. Our base strength is at 15, so this only increases our strength passively up to 20, not taking into account any debuffs or something. But yeah, this just gives us more carry weight. Then I do have Master Infiltrator. Now, in all fairness, you never need to invest more than this first rank into this perk card, just because at that point you can already unlock everything. Higher ranks just let you skip higher ranks of mini games. And while I still can't see a future where I will invest myself perk points into maxing this out in the live game, it actually is a pretty cool feeling to just go up to every single safe you encounter, every single box. And I myself, even if I have the ability to unlock stuff, I'm getting bored of hacking terminals and cracking locks. So I often find myself not doing it just because of the time it consumes, and just going up to them and opening them automatically is just a fun little gimmick to have. And lastly, I had Ammo Factory here. Now, I really probably would have benefited a lot from having taken one for the team here, but I felt like 150% more ammo crafting is a fitting thing for this character. And yeah, I don't really regret it. Now, obviously, you can always just switch in and out Ammo Factory. This is how I do it in the live game. I know it's pretty much a stupid decision just because you're wasting perk point every now and then, but I just think about what I wanted to craft, and it happens like once a month that I craft ammo, so it's very justifiable in my opinion. But yeah, keep in mind, go with something like taking one for the team here, and you'd probably be good. And holy hell, what a video. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm actually thinking about how I implement this in the best way into my life character, because I actually really grew not fond. I think it's the right term. I grew fond of this character, and I want to do something like this in the live game. It actually really feels super nice to, for once, not think about what you're carrying and just picking up everything. It's great. It's a little dopamine rush. Like you see a ventilator and you just grab it, and you don't have to worry about it. It's great. I love it. Same for typewriters. I'm in love with this character. I can only tell you to do the same. Like, try it, give it a try. If you have a private server and have perk points to spend, do something like this, fiddle around. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.